Hey, welcome back. Mike, it seems that when we're born, we have all kinds of different innate abilities, skills, traits, talents. And it's interesting, you were pointing out a little bit earlier about all the different DNA testing programs or kits that are available at Christmas time in the States.
Right.
And it's interesting that many of us are trying to figure out where our ancestors come, why we are the way we are, physically, what kind of foods and things we drink.
And whenever I started doing past life regressions, it came to my mind that, I've always been into ancestry and genealogy. So you have all those genes that carry traits forward, but you also have past lives that have influenced your life.
That's a very good
point. So it's like, who are we? Are we more who we were in past lives, or are we more who our bodies are that we've inherited? I'm sure there's other things too.
Well, we're fortunate today to have back as our featured guest Ildiko Scurr. She's the founder of Life Retuning. She's over in England, and she works with individuals from all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
And
Skype's a great thing.
Yes, it is. And Ildiko, welcome back.
Thank you very much, Patrick and Mike. I'm delighted to be here with you again on the show. Thank you.
Well, it's our pleasure whenever we have guests like you. It really makes us learn and want to know more. For the listening audience, tell us a little bit about yourself again. I know that in the first video you went into detail, but let's just refresh everyone's memory.
Sure. So I am the founder of Life Retuning, which is a personal empowerment system that works with the human energy field. So in a simple way, it's the data that is embedded in our energy fields, our auras, that I read, which gives all the information. If you imagine a computer that's got all the data on there and it's archived, and you have to go into the archive to open it all up, then that's what I do. But I do it with the human energy that we are made up of and that we hold within our auras as data. So that's the system that I've developed and have been working with for over 7, coming on for 10 years now. Yes, you are right, Patrick. I do work globally with people over Skype, and Skype is a wonderful thing, and so is Zoom. And it's just great to be able to work with people in different countries, to get to know people, energetically in my case. And I also run courses to train others in the Life Retuning system. So I've now got practitioners globally as well who are doing great work and getting their own success stories and helping people. I'm over in England, down on the south coast in Bournemouth, and I spend my time, and it's my passion to help to empower other people and unlock their potential.
Oh, very good. And I know that you're very active in the environmental, helping the world.
Entrepreneurs in that area.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I believe that this new level of consciousness that we are stepping into, I mean, many people have heard about the 5th dimension, and what is that? I mean, we are trying to get a handle, many of us across the globe who are working on this, we're trying to get a handle on what that actually means. But we definitely are stepping into it, whether we know what it is or not. So I believe that this new level of conscious awareness goes hand in hand with the understanding of the sustainability of the environment and how we must become caretakers. Understand that we do not own really the earth. We are caretakers. We're visitors here, and we need to take care of our environment. And at the moment, obviously, it's more and more acute that we do that. So I'm very, very keen on finding those people who have the ideas, the products, the vision for solutions for helping the environment and society to get better, and unlocking their potential. So I'm not looking at doing it myself, I'm looking at facilitating others who are in the position where they can do this. So that's where I place myself.
Yeah, I don't get into the arguments of global warming and debating whether that happens or not. My question is it better to pollute more or less?
Right, right.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. And it's about respect. It's about bringing in respect for the earth, respect for the other species that live alongside us. I do not believe that we have, any more right really than any other species. Where is that written? So that's the way I see it, and I think really we need to get mature about what we're doing to our planet. But like you, I don't get involved in the politics or the arguments. I'm just interested in unlocking the potential of those who are on purpose with this.
Right.
And I think unlocking the potential, you have to also look at the history, similar to DNA testing on the physical, but you also have the history of your soul group. And I know that you've been working on articles and books that help individuals better understand the history that they have during their lifetime here on Earth.
That's right. I believe that it's important to know our entire history. That's the history of our existence, not just the tiny little part of where we are now at a blink. But our soul has been through many incarnations, and this is not something I say lightly, because from the background that I came from, I grew up being told there's no such thing as reincarnation or past lives. So for many, many years, I just dismissed it as rubbish. However, I was proved to be wrong on that count. And because of the way I am, if somebody shows me the evidence of something, I go, oh, okay, well, I'm open to the possibility now. So with my work, I delved deeply and opened up the question of, well, what happens if we look at further back than our birth on the earth in this incarnation?
That's very, very true. One of the myths about reincarnation that I'd like to dispel is the fact that if we have a good life, we come back as potentially another individual. There are some people that believe that if we don't have a good life, we come back as a grasshopper or a dog, and that is not necessarily the case. We don't just reincarnate into something else. We reincarnate into our souls wanting to learn. Is that correct?
I would agree with you, Patrick. Following the energy data, it's become clear to me that there are choices that are made when we are between lives. And those choices are based on our soul's evolution. And that is the important thing. Now, whether we come back in a lifetime where we have chosen many, many challenges, that might be physical challenges, emotional or relationship challenges, that's all down to what we decide between our lives. And there are very, very particular pathways that we must respect that have been chosen on the soul level. So when it seems like things are unfair on the human level, when we look at the higher level aspects, and we're talking again about the fifth dimensional way of seeing things, the soul perspective, we see that there is actually a beautiful unfolding of a pathway that is not to be understood in the human terms of emotions. So you can get caught up with that and lose that bigger perspective.
Well, what I was thinking when you were talking about all this is, imagine your journey being just like when you went through school and you've got first grade, second grade, and you make decisions in between the grades of what you're going to take. Maybe you had a second grade teacher that was horrible, and that tinted the rest of your school career. And so that's sort of how this, if you want to make that analogy, how it kind of works.
Yeah, absolutely. Our choices are all dependent on what we've done in in past lives. Actually, it was a shocking discovery to me, really, that every choice that we make every day is to some extent coloured and affected by our past life history, and especially unfinished business, what I term past life trauma. Because if it's not resolved, then we're going to get that lesson come round again in this lifetime. So it will show itself up. Any unresolved issues do show themselves up.
Well,
Is that like karma, or is karma different?
I think karma's more complicated. I steer away from the word karma. Because all I'm doing is reading the energetic pathways, and the patterns show up for me, and there are repeating and recurring patterns. So it's more to do with patterning for me than karma. I think karma, there are many levels of explaining karma, and there's a simple level to say, cause and effect. I do something wrong and I get slammed back for it, but I think it's much more complex than that. We have to be very careful about how we interpret karma nowadays.
I think that's very true. If we're to learn about all the different aspects on this planet, we have to experience life poor, being a poor individual, being rich, being men, being women, being able to have children and being able to father those children. And so we can't learn about our physical third dimension just in one lifetime.
Absolutely right, Patrick. I agree with you. And it's interesting how suddenly it makes a nonsense of judgment, because if we have been everything in every lifetime, how can we judge anybody? Because we're judging ourselves if we do that. So suddenly in a stroke, judgment becomes a very strange place to be existing in, because you're cutting your own, branch from under you. Yeah, but you're right. The idea is, I think, that we do experience every aspect of existence on this planet, and also every manifestation of love, because everything really comes down to learning about love, because love is the force that is the driver of life in the universe.
And I think that as we progress, as our soul progresses, and we add things, we still also add some trauma, some vows, some things that we've done in our past situations that carry over. Is that correct?
Absolutely, and that shows up energetically, because we know that energy cannot be destroyed or created. It's one of the thermodynamic laws. So if energy cannot be destroyed or created, then what happens to all of the energy in this lifetime or in past lives? I do pick up with the work that I do that those imprints and those resonances carry over into our energy fields. It's a collection, it's like an archive of information energetically, yes.
Some people say they come with a lot of baggage, they ain't kidding.
And sometimes, just going on what you're saying, just because a person is very poor, that lives in a destitute situation, does not mean that they were bad in their other lifetime. What you're saying is that the soul has chosen to sort of select certain kinds of things so they can experience.
Absolutely, and it's the challenge of, well, what do I do now? And that can come into all of our lives in any circumstance. How do we resolve this challenge? How do we bring love into this situation? Love for ourselves, number one, which then fuels our perception to see the situation in a different way. And it's always that tick in the box, well, wow, I've learned from this situation and I'm never going back there again, because my perception has changed now. And I think, some souls have chosen very, very tough lives. And when we look and we feel sorry, a lot of the time we're feeling sorrowful for ourselves. And I think it's because there's a resonance on some level of a remembrance of what that was like. But we have to respect that soul's choice. Also, it's a challenge set for us, because if we can't stand to see it that way, then our soul is calling us to do something about it. It's our purpose calling to us.
So like if you chose a poor life, maybe you need to learn humility or something like that.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Absolutely, it could be that. Yes, quite.
Well, let's take a typical individual, and again, you see a number of different individuals through Skype, or if they ever get over to England, to sit down with you, and you're working with those individuals. How do you help them?
Or what kind of symptoms do they come to you with, and how do you deal with that?
Okay, well, one of the big areas that a lot of clients are stuck on is confidence. Self-confidence, or confidence about getting out there and doing what they feel that they need to be doing. I talked, I think last time, about belief structures and how very, very important it is to get them positive and life-affirming, because the mind's number one need is to be proved right. So what we believe is what we perceive in our lives. And that can be very dangerous because if you're carrying some negative stuff, negative beliefs, like I don't believe I deserve to be happy, then guess what? You're going to be creating situations that will prove to your mind that you don't deserve to be happy. Oh, that's not a good place to be. So I find that my clients are coming with, Mike, you used the word baggage. Absolutely. Baggage which has not been dealt with or even looked at, or let alone, the drawstring being opened and having a peek inside. Forget it, it's never happened. So what I do is I unpack and first of all find out what is there, and then with the Life Retuning, I'm changing frequencies. Literally, that's what I'm doing. But what it means in real terms is that I am eliminating negative emotional states like anxiety, frustrations, any baggage that's left over from the past. An example would be if somebody's relationship with their father, for instance, was not good, and they were criticized by their father, then the person's mind, being a business woman or man in a responsible position, maybe that they revert to 5-year-old child in front of their group who feels that they're going to be criticized any minute. Well, how's that going to work? That's not going to work with their team at all. Or if they want to go and ask for some money from their bank manager and they can't open their mouths and say what they want because they're not empowered, suddenly that unresolved business is rearing up and stopping them from being able to function. So what I do is enable people to be able to function within their lives, whether that is within business or within relationships, or life in general, because life is business and business is life. I don't really see any differentiation, because you bring your life into your business. So even though I'm working with business clients, they're just people with their stuff. So what I do is I clear all of that for people so that they can function and they can have an upgrade to their lives, the quality of their lives.
Do you feel that there's a difference between the baggage, and I'm assuming that's negative kind of energy, emotions, things of that nature, but do you see differences with men and women when you work with either or both? Do they have different kinds of baggage?
To be honest, not really. I don't really see any difference on the level that I'm working. Everybody suffers from anxieties, fears, frustrations, anger, beliefs like I'm not attractive enough, I don't believe I deserve to be loved, things like I expect everything to go wrong in my life. These are the kind of levels of perception that I work with. I do find, I really do like working with my male clients, because I find that they are very truthful about themselves, and they really open up. Once they trust me, they really open up, and we have a great working relationship. So they tend to accelerate and come out of their stuff in a very, you know, satisfying way for them, and obviously for me as the facilitator of that.
At first, you probably get a lot of the answers. What's the right answer she's looking for?
Well, yeah, but you see, their energy field is telling me the truth, so there's no possibility of hiding anything from me.
The one thing I tell my classes, you know, to give them confidence is, you know, with public speaking or anything, is like, you know, nobody really knows what they're doing. You know, we're all out there just like fumbling around trying to find our way through.
Yeah, very true. We're all in this sea of uncertainty.
Yeah, from the president on down, or however you want to look at it, we're all just
a good point.
Fumbling our way through it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Do you know my stance? My personal stance is I know nothing about anything at all. That's where I come from, because how can you prove anything anyway? You know, so it's a very liberating place to start from.
Right. Better than the 16-year-old, I know everything.
Yeah, been there, done that, found it didn't work.
And then life is going to teach you otherwise.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's much better when the challenge, you see the wave coming over the horizon, just wave the white flag and go, hey, I surrender. That way you don't get the challenge hitting you in the face and the pain.
Right.
Do you feel our current money situation brings out the worst or the best in us? In other words, some people have gobs and gobs of money.
You mean like the 1% have 90% of the money and the rest of us have the leavings?
Yeah. Do you feel that money is a precipitator of the need to talk with you?
Yeah, very much. There's a fear of lack. And you see, let's go back to what the mind needs to be proved right. If I believe that there's not enough money, if I believe I can't generate money, if I believe that nobody wants what I'm offering, you know, as a business person, then that's pretty much me scuppered. You know, no matter what I try, I won't really be able to generate that abundance. Now, for me, there's a place which is the axis of turning the perception round. I find that when people's perception changes about money, i.e. there's plenty of money to go around, I can generate it and bring it in anytime I want, then everything changes, because it's literally a resonance. So when we're broadcasting this resonance out, we're attracting what we're sending out there. So if we believe that abundance is out there, it comes in when it's needed, and it comes in fast and easy, then that's what's going to happen. So actually, it's totally irrelevant who's got the money, where they've got it. If you think about it, in the 1930s, when you had the Great Depression, yes, in the States, that is the time when the most amount of millionaires was created. Now, how does that work? To me, that shows perfectly that it's not about the actual physical money. It's about your perception.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That pulls in the abundance.
Yeah, that's a very good point. You had mentioned that in between lifetimes, we have our soul family. We have our group of individuals that we tend to hang around with, if that's a good way to say that, and that oftentimes we come back as a group in different places. We don't grow up in the same city. We don't have the same.
And the roles change.
Yeah.
You know, your mom's not your mom, your dad's not your dad.
Yeah.
Maybe they are now your brother, your sister, your child, or your cousin, or your boss.
Right.
Even.
And sometimes we don't meet those individuals until part of our life is over with, or you know, there's a lot of thoughts of soul groups. And how about sharing some thoughts that you have about soul groups that come in as a...
Yeah, sure, Patrick. I absolutely concur. What I've discovered from people's energy fields is that we incarnate with members of our soul group. who become close to us, as you say, family, Mike, your partners, your best friends, those people who are close and mean things to you are more than likely to be soul group members, and you will incarnate lifetime after lifetime after lifetime with the same souls. And again, you said, Mike, that they will be in different incarnations. So your mum is not your mum; it might be your sister, or you might be the father of, the father that you have in this incarnation. It's all about learning about love. So any interaction, any relationship is about love, ultimately, isn't it? So every single interaction and relationship in this lifetime is always about learning to love ourselves and also others. So it's this constant contact backwards and forwards. What is really interesting is that I've found that we do make soul contracts with soul group members, and mostly it tends to be with soul group members from our group. Occasionally you can have somebody soul come over from a different group, but you have a contract with them, and quite often these are short contracts. Also, what we failed to mention is those people who are the most challenging, the ones who push your buttons the most, who you just want to...
Your enemies. Your enemies.
Well, the ones that drive you crazy. They are likely to be your soul group members as well. And what I do with my clients is I unlock and unroll, if you like, the parchment to find out what that soul contract contains, because we are always teaching and learning within a soul contract. So for instance, somebody's mother, they might have a contract with them, and they are here to teach their mother about forgiveness, and their mother's soul is teaching them about self-belief. And I find that with clients, when they understand the details of the soul contract, then they can start looking at circumstances within that contract. So if something happens with their mother, they can look to see where the lesson is being taught, where they're meant to be learning, and where they're meant to be teaching. And I find that when I unlock these soul contracts, people tend to go, oh my God, that makes perfect sense. Now I get it. And it changes relationships miraculously, because suddenly you're not looking at this little human level, oh, she really irritates me. She never understands me. She's always going against me. I can't stand it. Suddenly you go, oh, okay, so where am I not forgiving? And where do I need to forgive myself? Number one, where is this going back to? How is this playing out in my life? And it's a completely different level of looking at it. Again, talking about the fifth dimension, this is part of that set, that piece, which is very, very important for living in a fifth dimensional life.
It's strange how, people have to be taught to love themselves. People love so many different things in the world, whether it's their house, their car, or their children, and they preen over these things, wax in the car and do all kinds of stuff, and you end up being last, and you should be taking care of yourself, just as the car that you polish like every week, because that's all you have, really.
Absolutely, that's right. But again, we come back to the belief structures. If I believe that I don't deserve to be loved, how am I going to love myself? All I'm going to do is focus outside of myself to find other things to love, because I have this deep hole, this deep yearning that needs to be filled. But I can't fill it because my mind is blocking me from doing that successfully.
I've had other people ask me, it's like, why can't we just come into this life knowing what we're supposed to learn so we can get it over with and learn it? And it's like,
and then what, have a lifelong party?
It wouldn't be as deep of a learning or understanding if you just like, okay, here's the answers.
Well, I think if you look at many of the church teachings, um, in particular the Christian faith, and I'm quite sure some of the other faiths, etc. But one of the things that they push is be humble, come in second, don't be first. And I think from our early age, we have been taught that to put ourselves second and to help others. And sometimes you get into that realm or thinking that you're not as good as other individuals because
Good thing I didn't go to that church.
yeah, and sometimes that's pushed at an early age. I don't know. What do you think, Ildiko?
Well, it probably comes too from the part that the meek shall inherit the earth. So you don't want to be the guy on top because they'll get screwed in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, my perspective is that it's the ego that this is about. The ego is what trips us up all the time, because the ego is about survival. It's about us carrying on breathing, us, physically surviving. If we get the ego out of the way, we have access to the rest of our consciousness. And to me, the need to be humble is more about getting myself out of the way, my stuff, so I can actually see what's really there. I mentioned about my stance that I know nothing about anything at all. Now, you could look at that as being humble. I don't really see it. That word doesn't quite work for me. What I'm doing there is, in one moment, very sophisticated and very simple. What I'm saying to my mind is, there is no history here for you to work with. Guess what? You're going to have to just work with what's here right now, this second. And your mind just goes, what? Hang on a minute. What do you mean? I can't work on what happened at 5 years old. I can't assume this. I can't pretend that. I can't be in denial of this. Guess what? No, you can't. And the only thing that we have here is the first thing that shows up. When something shows up, I know one thing at least, and that is what showed up, and that's all. So it's a whole rewiring of the way that the mind is operating. And, I find it a very, very powerful way of thinking.
Now, why don't we talk a little bit about, I know we talked before we started here about vows and how that can tint things in this.
When you say vows, like I will, in a past lifetime, I gave the vow of chastity.
Yeah, there you go.
And from then on, I will be chaste.
You didn't say I'm going to be vow of chastity for the next month.
Maybe we should.
I'll pass.
Hey, try for the next 12 centuries.
Yeah.
Well, but you do make a good point, with those vows, that they do carry over.
Unfortunately, the reality is they do. And not only do they carry over, you collect more. Because the reality is you create the same circumstances, because energy is a pattern. So if you're taking that pattern into the next life, and it's not appropriate for that life to be poor, for instance, because say you were a monk or in some religious orders in a lifetime where you took your vow of poverty, great, it worked for that lifetime. Now you're in a situation where you are trying to attract money. Well, how's that going to work? Because you've actually made a vow to say, well, that's not for me. So how are you going to attract the money? You're not, is the simple answer. No matter what you do, you will block yourself because you're not meant to. You've forsworn that money. You're not meant to have it. So the only answer is get rid of the vow. And that's part of what I do with my clients. So I identify if they are holding a vow or not. So here's a little exercise for you and the listeners to see whether you respond in a vow perspective, should we say. If I was to hold up a check for $2 million and say, this is yours right now, what is your number one reaction?
Will the bank cash it? I guess I would look upon that as a gift. I have lived in that realm of receiving a large amount of checks.
So you'd be able to receive straight away, yeah?
Yes.
You're probably not holding any vows of poverty. Mike?
I would be happy.
Okay. So somebody who holds vows of poverty would immediately go like that.
That's right.
Well, give half of it to charity, or there's a little bit of anxiety straight away.
I don't want to be greedy, is what many people will say.
That perfectly shows up likely vows of poverty. Yes.
Does this also, I don't know, something I do, or people at the end of a meal always argue about the check. If somebody goes, "I'll pay," I'm like, "Okay,"
Fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to sit around and argue just for for show.
Well, Ildiko is going to give me $2 million, so I'll buy your lunch.
Sweet. The check's in the mail.
You've got to help me raise it first, though. Yeah, you're right, though, Mike. It's likely that person wants to get rid of their money as fast as they possibly can. And it shows up in those ways, yes.
But you do make a good point that we put a lot of feelings towards those non-negative, positive energy forms, like money. It just is. Money just is. It's our perception, right?
Yeah, money is just a form of energy. There's nothing else to it. It's neither positive nor negative. It's just neutral. Energy is neutral until we put a polarity on it.
Yeah.
So,
I look at it as a tool. It helps me do things.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And oftentimes, I've met many business people. I ask them what's the purpose for their being involved in business, and of course, it all comes down to making money or doing the things that we love. And then, they qualify by saying, "But I don't want to be too greedy. I'll just take a small part." And the response that I give is basically, how much money?
Why are you limiting yourself?
Yeah, and how much is too much greediness? And in reality, they're mixed up in what you're saying.
Yeah, because that's one of these, what is it, 7 deadly sins? That the lust and the greed and slothfulness and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and in reality, we are the ones, just like we're all saying, that limit our intake.
We do, that's right. And I think there's, in a way, there's been an over-identification with the negative.
Yes.
And when we focus on the negative, we attract the negative. So I would like to rewrite all of that, really, in the new paradigm of conscious living, as I call it, the 5th dimension, and look at more the energetic patterning of all of this. What are we really attracting in? Because when I was watching The Secret, the film, what really struck me was a quote about Mother Teresa. And the quote was that Mother Teresa, all her life, was invited to anti-war rallies, and she never went to one single one. Her answer was always, "Invite me to a pro-peace rally and I will come." Right? So that says everything. She understood energy. She totally understood energy. And we need to look at what we are attracting in. And sometimes our mind's telling us a very different story to what is actually going on. So we have to get our mind, again, it comes back to getting our minds out of the way before we can see the reality. The mind will spin the illusion, it will spin the story, and a lot of people live within their stories. They never peek outside, set foot outside into the real world. But once we get that out of the way, we can see, I'm actually a very powerful, magnificent being who can do anything that I want.
Well,
I think too, you were talking about Mother Teresa. I think we've held up martyrs as the way of being.
Yes.
And giving up everything, and
yes.
that's the best you can be is a total martyr of sacrificing yourself.
Yeah, but the point is, if you sacrifice everything, there's nothing left.
That's right. You're very true. You know, money is one of those high energy things, but I think also that is high energy is the individuals we attract, like our soulmates, our twin flames.
We can, let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between, you know, what we've seen sold to us as soulmates. You know, that's who we come together with and make us happy and we resonate with. And a twin flame, that sounds kind of the same, but it's very different, isn't it?
It is very, very different indeed. I have clients I'm working with who are twin flames, and I mentioned this before. I call it the twin flame pain. The twin flame pain, because quite frankly, I wouldn't wish it on anybody. It's a very particular, challenging relationship where both souls are working out their stuff, but they're working it out on each other. So your twin flame will highlight the areas where you need to work on, where you might not actually want to go. It is very, very challenging, as I say. And the clients I've worked with have gone through so much emotional pain. And the problem is you can't unhook from your twin flame. So you're on the merry-go-round whether you like it or not. And there is only one answer, and that is to get on with sorting out your stuff, because that's the only way you can actually get to a point where you're not hurting anymore. But typically there is the runner and the chaser. They both go through their own specific pain. So the chaser goes through the pain of separation and loneliness quite often because the runner's gone. They can't handle this intense, and I mean it is extremely intense energy between the two souls. So the runner is off because they can't handle it. The chaser is left and has to deal with, as I say, the pain of separation, the pain of loneliness, the pain of, well, what's happening? You know, is this person coming back or not, or whatever? The runner then finds that at some point they have to stop running because they run out of steam. And then they find that they still can't unhook from this person. And then they have to come back. And then when they come back, it all kicks up again and it all gets really intense. And then the runner's off again. It just goes backwards and forwards. But seriously, it really is a very, very challenging relationship. It's almost like a PhD, taking a PhD in spiritual evolution. It's a fast track course in spiritual evolution to have a twin flame. Now, when the two align, that is when this beautiful place starts happening that a lot of people write about, the twin flame, beautiful relationship. But I can tell you it takes an awful lot of hard work on both counts, because sometimes one twin is not aware of what's going on. And they might be in denial, they might just find it's far too much hard work. So they just stay in their pain of not evolving. But eventually, as I say, it's this quality of this relationship is that neither can unhook.
Well,
Yeah.
you have heard a lot of accounts where individuals, when they first get married, they feel that they are married to their twin flame.
Yes.
Or I don't know if a lot of people know that. Is there such a thing as a soulmate?
Yes, absolutely. And they're likely to be a soul group member that you have a romantic contract with.
Okay.
So, oh yeah, absolutely. The twin flame relationship is very specific. It's a very specific energy pattern. The soul group members and soulmates are absolutely a different type of relationship, and they can be fantastic relationships. And not everybody incarnates with their twin flame in this lifetime. They might be not incarnated, so they might be in spirit.
It's
Can you have more than one?
No,
You only
I
have-
don't. I don't think you can, because from what I understand, it's one soul split into two, having two sets of experiences. So
It's my understanding in the higher aspects, the higher dimensions, the soul split out in a sort of a feminine energy and a masculine energy, and I'm only using third dimensional things, and that each one is learning, and if they come together in the third dimension, they are considered twin flames, which they are in essence higher aspects of themselves. Am I correct on it?
yeah, the main thing is that the resonance is the same within the two people, and that's where the intensity comes from. That it's an amplification of yourself, effectively. I mean, that's something else.
Twin flames will burn down the house, right?
They'll burn down more than the house, I can tell you that much. So it really is something. If anybody is in that situation where they suspect that they have got a twin flame relationship and they are in severe emotional pain, then I'd like to, just reach out and say, get in contact with me, because I have worked with several clients, and it's not for sissies. It really isn't. Yeah.
Well, I know that in working with soulmates, it is possible that in our group structure in past lives, we may have had spiritual relationships with those individuals, or physical relationships. And say in a past life in the 3rd century or something, we made the vow of, I will love you forever and ever. And then when we come back many lifetimes, that's where we get into problems with
that. Yes, that can happen too. There could be unresolved energetic bonding, if you like. Yes, that comes up sometimes in sessions with clients. Also, the other thing is that in this lifetime, if you have been married, be aware you might have an energetic ring still. No physical ring, an energetic ring.
Ah.
Yeah.
So what's the best way to, I don't know, should you get rid of this relationship, or can you move past it and cut the ties? One of the things that Dolores Cannon talked about was cutting contracts, and it basically comes down to forgiveness. I forgive you what you've done and what I've done, and I want to end this contract we have. And you say that, you do that. What is that the way you deal with this?
There are many types of contracts, not just romantic. So when I unlock a contract for a client, as I say, it might be that it's to do with teaching self-belief to one soul, and acceptance. The other soul is meant to be experiencing acceptance. What I can pick up is also the quality of the contract. So is it a friendship contract? Is it romantic? Is it a challenge contract? Is it long-term or is it short-term? I'd be very careful about ending contracts, because they were made when we were in spirit, and they are there for a particular reason. A contract can end in the sense that we have done what we promised to do, both. And then it tends to be that you don't see that person again. The energy of the contract itself still exists, but it becomes non-active. Yeah, that's how I see it.
And two, I was thinking, if it was say a bad relationship, just ending the trauma and not being, mad about it for the rest of your life, and holding that anger with yourself and with somebody. Anger doesn't do anything good.
No, absolutely not. But by doing that, you're also working through the what you agreed to in the contract, or you may be. It may be that you're working through forgiveness of yourself. It may be that you're working through trust, an issue of trust in yourself. So it still is the active contract until you get to point of what I call returning to zero. So zero is neutrality, and it's neither positive nor negative polarity. It's that middle state, where nothing's going on with anything anymore.
I always ask this of many individuals, but what do you see as our purpose in life? Why do we come here and sort of focus in on the things that we're doing? What's your answer to that?
Well, I do think that we are here to learn lessons, and those lessons are always about love. Every single lesson is about love. Every aspect of love is explored, and we choose certain challenges, as we talked about before, with somebody who chooses to be poor, effectively. We choose certain challenges to be set up within our lifetime, and those challenges are there to help us evolve, our souls evolve. So it is almost like a schoolroom, and I think if you shy away from learning the lesson, it's like sitting an exam. If you failed the paper, guess what? It will be slapped in front of you again, and you have to take it again. So I do see this lifetime as our soul evolvement through these challenges.
That's where I kind of liken the good die young. They were quick learners. They figured it out and then they moved on.
Yeah, they learned too quick and they're coming back to learn again. They failed the paper.
Men and women have different understandings of what love is.
Yep.
And I know that you deal with many different kinds of clients. So try to help us understand what some of the when you say love, what do you mean love?
Well, there are different types of love. You have a love for your child. That's one type of love. Obviously, romantic love is a different type. You have a love for your pets. That's a different type. For your friends, for your colleagues. There are many different aspects to love, but I think really the common factor is this connection. It's about connection on some level, and also a similar resonance, finding the similarity in a relationship, whatever that is.
And to truly love an individual, if someone starts picking a fight with us, some of the religious beliefs are, walk away, turn the other cheek.
Yeah.
That, and sometimes I get confused what we should or should not do. But if someone's picking on you, do we have a right to defend ourselves?
Well, I think it comes down to drama. And what I mean by drama is that we all run our own stories about what we are, who we are. So, again, I mentioned about returning to the point of zero. So the only way somebody can hurt us is if we perceive them to be hurting us. I'll give you an example. So when I was married, I had a situation with my ex-husband where he would try to push his drama on me. And one of those dramas was that he wanted me to feel responsible for the things that he wasn't doing, right? I'm sure you understand.
Sure.
So one day he said to me about something or other, "Oh, don't feel guilty about it," which of course meant do feel guilty about it. It's your responsibility. To which I answered, "Guilt? What's guilt? I don't do guilt." So it just completely fell down and over because I didn't recognize or identify with what he was saying. So I think really it comes down to this, that if we choose for somebody to hurt us and to perceive that they've hurt us, they've hurt us. If we choose to not perceive that that has been an insult or a hurt, then it isn't.
That's very good. Do you ever remember the book, I'm Okay, You're Okay?
Oh, yes.
And
Oh,
it
yes.
went through the different adult and childhood. One of the games that many people in relationship work with is called the Rapo game. That's where you set up an individual so that you can feel. See, I told you so. In other words, you set up another individual to yell and scream at you, when in reality you enjoyed being yelled and screamed at. I'm not
Yeah.
doing that Rapo technique well, but it is an interesting concept where we set other people up so we can enjoy that negative or positive feeling.
Yes, and of course the question is, why do we enjoy that negative feeling? And again, we come back to the belief structure. I don't deserve to be happy, or I deserve to be punished, or I don't deserve to be loved. So the mind is craving the confirmation of this. So therefore we set up situations where we are proved right.
Yeah, that's very good. Ildiko, we only have a few more minutes. Again, tell a little bit about your web page and
Services.
and services and things of that nature.
Sure. So my website is, if I give you the
And we'll
address.
post it down below.
Yeah. Okay. So it's liferetuning.com, and I specialize in working with business owners or business clients. I specifically look for clients who have got a big vision or a big idea that they need to bring to manifestation, but they cannot unlock their potential. And that's what I do. I am great at unlocking potential. So that's why I'm a facilitator, business empowerment facilitator. However, as I mentioned before, business is life and life is business. So when we're talking about what I call the soul heritage package is something that I do with clients to delve deeper into their existence history. And that is part of what I do as well, offer as a service. I offer services which cover helping people out of stuck places with their health, with relationships. That's a big area that I am operating in and giving sessions and services to. Especially as I mentioned before, anybody who's out there struggling with twin flame or any challenging relationship, do contact me and let's have a chat about what I can offer. I did want to just mention an offer that I'm want to say about for today, Patrick, if that's okay.
Sure, please.
So the energy field that we were talking about is part of the energy matrix, or Akashic records. People might have heard of the term Akashic records. It's really the sea of energy. And what I'm offering today is an Akashic record reading for anybody who is interested in finding out who their soul group members are, what their soul contracts are with those soul group members, and if they are holding any past life vows that may be blocking them from achieving the things that they want to in this lifetime.
Okay.
So that's what I'm offering today.
Okay.
I think I know that many individuals have commented on some of the things that you write. That they're very pleased with getting to know the services that you provide. They can feel the positive energy that comes through the services that you
Right.
undertake. And when your book is ready to be published, I hope we can ask you to come back on and talk a little bit about the book and the articles.
That'd be wonderful, Patrick. I'd really enjoy doing that. Thank you.
Oh, it's our pleasure. We would
When
like
do
for you to
you
come
when
back.
do you foresee that being done?
I'm going to work on it next year. Yeah, I will keep you posted on
Okay.
how it's going. But I reckon by the end of next year it should be finished. So
Okay.
Well, we'd like to have you back on before then.
That
So
would be
either
great.
write faster or
Come up with some interesting topic.
But any final words that you would like to?
I just want to say really that it's really important to understand that we don't just have this lifetime. You know, I was in a place of darkness with this and denial for a long time, and it caused me a lot of pain personally. So I would say just, you know, even look at the possibility that past lives do exist and that you are running programs in this lifetime that might need to be altered or got rid of. Yeah, definitely.
Well, we will, if anyone has that need, we will direct them your way.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Mike, great guest.
Yeah,
Great guest.
always a good conversation.
Yes. I'm Patrick. We're talking with Ildiko Scurr. She's the founder of liferetuning.com. Thank you for listening. I'm Patrick.
I'm Mike, and we'll see you next week with another guest.
Thank you very much. Take care. Bye.
Bye.